Hi guys, it's Kathleen S. Welcome back. In our homeschool, about every 6 months, I get a new box of stuff for Stephen. And I do that because we do year-round homeschooling, but it's still always fun to do, the big new school supplies. And I do it twice a year because as a kid growing up, you know, I knew winter is Christmas was over and now you're getting back into the groove of school and you're doing just the same stuff you were doing in the fall. So I thought, hey, let's change it up with my kids and we'll give them half of the back to school stuff in the fall, and then they get to open up a brand new box in the middle of winter when everything's gray and boring and it's not too exciting to start school again. So that's what I've got here. This is actually a giant diaper box. So I will turn the camera around and show you what's inside. One more thing before we get into the actual stuff. I forgot to mention that this box is for my son Stephen, who just turned 4 a month ago, and he is a gifted child. So what you're going to see in this box is not what your typical 4-year-old is going to be doing. I'm looking for things that help him creatively, help him where he is at right now, intellectually, and also very, very important, independent activities. You'll see a few independent activities in there for him, but it's more so for my sanity. So these aren't necessarily a gotta have for gifted kid, but I'm all the time looking for things that he can do independently that are still mentally stimulating. So here's a spread of everything in the box. Now, Monday morning, what we'll have Stephen do is get into the giant diaper box and just start pulling all these things out for himself and exploring everything so he can essentially just, have Christmas in the middle of July. And you'll notice a couple things right off about what I've got. Curriculum. I don't really have a ton of new curriculum in this box because we do school year round and just start a subject when I think he's ready or when he ends the previous stuff. You won't see the giant thing of new curriculum. Now, there's one exception to that, and that is the All About Reading, because I have been noticing for the last couple of months he is definitely ready. And actually, I ask him like every few months, do you want to start learning how to read yet? And I finally got the yes from my child. So, All About Reading is in here, but that's going to be unusual for our boxes. Instead, we're going to focus on the fun stuff, the art supplies, the books, the new subjects, the fun stuff. And as you can see here, we've got a variety of art supplies, books, some music ed, and some games. So as to why I've chosen these specific things, I've mentioned the All About Reading. I'm not positive with my gifted son if this curriculum is going to work for him. So we'll see. I know it is great. I know I've heard tons of great things about it, but he may go through it too fast. He may not use all of these cards that come with the curriculum, but we'll just see what happens. And as you can see, I have heard about prepping ahead of time. So I went ahead and did that. Cut out everything and put them in plastic sleeves so that I can access stuff faster per lesson. But I'll let you guys know if that works. If that doesn't, what my thoughts are on that. And a while ago, I picked up this off of Facebook Marketplace. It's just the Usborne My First Reading Library. So I got this for really cheap. I am not planning on getting many readers for Stephen because, again, I expect him to catch on to reading quickly. But I was able to find these for a cheap price. So it's something for him to start with, and he'll just be getting stuff from the library per his reader's level. So if you guys want to see a little bit more into that, just put in the comments down below and I'll let you know what all is involved with that. Now, as far as art, my son's been going through a ton of construction paper, so we have that. He's need a little bit of more heavyweight paper for some of the art he's been getting into. So we have that, and then this composition book. I know he's only 4, and I guess I should say that. My son is 4. He just turned 4 a month ago. But he really, 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 really loves writing. Just tonight, he told me before dinner, I'm going to go write so and so a letter. Do I have enough time to finish it before dinner? Now, he doesn't know how to spell, but he just likes putting a whole bunch of words on a page and calling it a letter, or even calling it a story. So I got this because it was cheap, so he can play around with writing whatever he wants or doing whatever he wants in there. And then, of course, we have the standard glue. Some of this is going to be for his 18-month-old sister, since they do a lot of gluing. New markers and a new box of crayons are standard for this age. And these he specifically requested because he saw a friend have them. So they are just Crayola Twistables, and I know it's just a replication of the crayons we have, but he specifically asked for these, so I went ahead and got them. Now, this I got used off of Thrift Books. It has some writing in here, but I got this mainly because the Usborne book we have teaching about art, he is way beyond that. I mean, he calls this like his instruction book. And so this is a little bit beyond him in age, but I think he will still have fun with it because it does give step-by-step drawings, and this is one of his independent activities where I don't have to sit down with him and explain how it works every single time. He just gets this out and uses it as an instruction book. So this frees me up a little bit in some time. Just a second, I hear some kids. Real-time parenting with a gifted kid. I had to stop because my son just came out of bed. I'm filming this in the evening, and he wanted to tell me something. He said in his words that the thoughts were just coming up out of his throat and they needed to be spoken. So yes, gifted kids have a hard time going to bed because brains just keep going. So they may lay in bed for an hour still awake. But anyways, enough of that, enough of how the gifted mind works. Let's get back into the goodies that I have. Okay, so he loves just using how to draw books as his instructions, and this is going to be his self-activity of things he can do in his own independent time that I don't have to sit there with him once I show him step by step how the instructions work. So this is more for my peace of mind, another thing for him to do in the afternoons so I can get something else done and he can get the mental stimulation he needs. So we'll see if this works for him. He may be a little bit young with just his ability to actually draw, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have fun with that. I've been eyeing these for forever. He got one for Christmas, but this book is the full orchestral suite of Sleeping Beauty with a page-by-page basically narration of the story of the play or the ballet. And then I don't have the tab pull, but if you push these buttons, it activates this board here in the back, which then plays an excerpt from that scene. And then back here, it helps explain what the instruments are doing, what they're hearing throughout the ballet. So Stephen absolutely loves classical music, particularly if I start pointing out details to him. So I know he's going to have a ball with this book. And these books from Usborne are another big win in this family. They are lift the flap books. So this is pushing and pulling how bridges work, and there's flaps you can lift, and it goes in pretty great detail. So yes, this is not what a typical 4-year-old would read, but it explains the physics of how bridges work and skyscrapers and tunnels. So this is definitely going to be one of his favorites. And if you want to see more of the Usborne Lift the Flaps that he's had fun with, just let me know down in the comments and I will be very willing to make a video for you. These are things I picked up at a used book sale. Again, science is his #1 love of what to learn about. And we've gone over some of these things in other books, but It's just presented in yet another format, and he can never get enough of science. So, easy thing for us to throw in. And he's all the time asking now how things work. So, this might be a little bit much in some areas like biometrics, but he would absolutely love learning about how a frisbee works, underwater scooters, electronic ink. So we'll see. I think he might love some of these things. Some of them, it may still be a little bit abstract, but we'll see. And because he absolutely loves a thinking book, a critical thinking book, but he is finishing the one for his 4 to 5 year old fairly soon, I decided to take a break from critical thinking and logic activities to beginning coding. And this is probably something he's going to fly through within a couple months, but they have a whole series from pre-K to kindergarten to first grade that he probably will have a fun time with this year before we pick back up his critical thinking book. But he absolutely loves workbooks like this, so he's going to have a fun time with that. And then on to the games. I always try to include a game in the kits. The Smart Games company does great single-player logic games. Now, he does not like playing by himself, but if I'm in the room and I start him off on it, he'll just go for like 30 minutes through these single-playing logic games. And so I know he will have a fun time with this because he's enjoyed the previous 2 games in the series. And this, he's been having fun telling stories. So I thought, especially to help him with emotional intelligence and relating to others, this would be a good game for us to do. So each card shows a different scene, and the goal is for the child to be able to figure out what's going on in the scene. And then you can talk about how each person is feeling, what each person's thinking. And I think especially for a gifted child, having something like this so that they can learn emotional regulation and intelligence even more than what you do on a daily basis is really important. Because the sooner you can help them regulate their own emotions and think about their own emotions and control their own emotions, the much easier your life will be. Now, that's always going to be a struggle for gifted kids. And even as adults, they'll still deal with the big emotions. But if you help them engage their thinking side of the brain, then they can control those big emotions a lot easier. So that is all I have. It's simple, it's fun, but it's something to help him get excited about doing school a bit more.